being here and making the time to spend some time getting to know my business and about me. So I'm Chloe, and I am an alumni from DIVERSEcity, the program that finished, for me at least, in 2021. So I run Chloe Greenberg Studio. As you can see, not quite there. Chloe Greenberg is up there. And I basically help people to work towards becoming their biggest cheerleaders. And so you'll see under the umbrella of Chloe Greenberg Studio, I offer life coaching, which helps to empower individuals to overcome challenges, to work towards goals and to clarify them in the first place, to create mindset shifts that help to support a fulfilling life. And I also teach art classes, which help with perfectionism, and I'll dive a bit more into that later as well. And I also add in lifestyle products, and so that's where I integrate art basically into your home, your lifestyle, and we'll start with that. So a bit about me and about how and why I started Chloe Greenberg Studio is because, well, actually it started when I was a kid. I've always just been holding a paintbrush, and I have been lucky to go to a high school that specialized in art, and I decided to go down a path that I thought would lead me to the most creative path, which I believed was going to help bring me some money. Whereas I guess being an artist, I held this belief that maybe it's not going to take me down that path 100%. So I decided to study graphic and web design and development, and that led me down that career for 7 years. So after working in fashion, health and food, and travel companies that were at a senior level in-house, and then freelancing as a designer, I really strongly sensed underneath it all that this was just not my calling. And I'm sure maybe that speaks to some of you, just, you know, maybe something needs to change. And it was actually just one email that happened to come into my inbox one day that showed me that my artwork could be used on endless items. So the idea that I could bring art to someone's wardrobe or room through wallpapers, rugs, cushions, cell phone cases, and so many other things was just completely eye-opening to me. And so I did some quick studying and research, and I ended up starting to sell some products online, from cell phone cases to cushions and more. So I'll just pull out some of those things. You're welcome to pass them around. So actually, what I'll start with is basically how it works is I create a painting and I'll make it into a repeated pattern file. And this quite literally is the design that created this. So you can do it in multiple colorways on multiple products. And so I'll just start by passing those around, I guess, on that side. And then over here. And then cell phone cases as well. So I tend to enjoy really vibrant colors. And we'll have a few more items here. Some notebooks as well. Some of them are, we'll leave the two that are the same. So I'll pass these around this way, and then some this way as well. Great. So those are things that really, that's my way of bringing art to people's lives and homes. And so discovering that new passion, I then, with lots of cold calls in the middle of the night, I moved to England and started out in a totally new career that I learned in a matter of 3 months, which landed me in managing interns in a new field that I just discovered. So I just wanted to pause for a moment and take things back a few years. I had some really hard times, and that led me to starting therapy as a teenager. And throughout my life, I found myself chasing goal after goal, relationship after relationship, searching for whether it was love or meaning in life, and there was this sense of this underlying feeling of not being fulfilled. And so what that led me to was actually eating disorders, alcohol problems, wrong relationships, and a lot of self-destruction, self-talk, and other really horrible traumatic events that were just being masked under this smile of everything's okay. And therapy helped. It was huge in my life, but it wasn't until I really just started taking self-development really seriously for myself, and I learned modalities and topics that led me to helping myself to cope with my past. And I had always known in the back of my head that I've always wished to give back in some way, because I was an adoptee from Peru, and I saw how different my life could have been when I went back there, from this third world country. So to come back to my main story, I moved back to Canada from England, and not long after that I discovered DIVERSEcity. And this program really was what gave me the support that I needed. And honestly, I actually didn't even think I needed it all that much, but oh my gosh, it just gave me skyrocketing confidence, because Florence actually was the one to really help me believe that my dream deserved to come to life, and to help me create my own vision for what life could be like with this dream. And so at the time, I was also learning some really influential therapy modalities, and felt that I wasn't really retaining the information well enough. And so I decided to take on designing things that helped me to retain that information better. And at the time, I didn't know where that would take me. But it wasn't until someone reached out sharing that at 6 a.m., a workout buddy, a really close friend of mine that I hadn't been in touch with in a couple months due to an annual trip, was missing for a week. And so I found out that he drowned himself in the Fraser River, and not knowing how much pain this person was in, and to know that this person was feeling so lonely, stuck, and helpless was just heartbreaking. And I know that he's not the only one, because I too was once there, almost being admitted to a safe house, literally with not even a single person to reach out to for support, because my life at the time was chaos around me, and there was just this one person, a student advisor, who did his best to kind of give me some hope and some way out. And so it was at that moment that, finding out that my friend's fate, my brain just started yelling at me, okay, I never wish that on anyone, to feel that's pain again, which I knew so well. And I knew that this secondary dream in the back of my head to help people was just waiting for someday, but that day arrived when this news came to my door. So before we continue, I'd like to invite you to think about how businesses begin getting out into the world. They are, of course, entities that require an idea, a solution to a problem. And so when I was a freelance designer, I created logos, marketing materials, websites, and overall branding for businesses. But to do so, I needed to narrow down their brand identity, their brand personality, their mission statement, their vision, their purpose, their values, and look at their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then one day it just hit me. Why do we spend so much time thinking about businesses with this effort and intention to stay on the right track, but why not ourselves? Who's ever knocked on our door and said, this is how we can start thinking about us as well? Because we also have a purpose, a vision, a mission, values, an identity, a personality, and all those other things that we look at doing SWOT analysis and so on. So I took action by taking on a small grant, and I put on my first workshop, which today is a program called Design Your Life. And I'll show you a workbook this is just one of the 2 workbooks that are involved in that program, so I'll just pass it around from here. You're welcome to flip through that. And so that's where, in that program, is kind of where we take inventory of all the things mentioned, which we would look at for a business. So, the SWOT analysis, the values, the mission statement, and things like that, to create a vision board. So that's what we create in the first half of this program. But we're also creating something called a self-care board program, self-care board. And to be honest, that's probably the most important part, because we dive into things like our mindset, which is the beliefs that we have consciously or subconsciously, and how we can shift the ones that no longer serve us. We are also looking at habits and how to let go of the ones that don't really support us anymore, and also how to implement new ones. We also look at difficult emotions and how to process them, which and then talking about topics like confidence, stress and anxiety, burnout, procrastination, overwhelm. And why is it that we look at these things? Because these are what get in our ways when we wish to create the life that we desire. And having a board that reminds you of how to handle life best, that's specialized for you, when life feels heavy, or when we don't feel 100%, when we feel really just low, which those are all days that we do have. It provides us with proof that we deserve to be loved. And so throughout the program, I share neuroscience studies that help us to understand some of these elements and integrate various therapy modalities to help us understand why we are the way that we are. And so whether it is through the Design Your Life program or one-on-one coaching, which allows for personalized support, or bringing an element of art into your home, like you've seen as these products here, or art classes, which I'll talk about, where students, it's interesting, when I teach classes with art, you'll often find, and it's mainly for beginners that I teach, they will so often halfway through say, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not good at this, I give up, like, you don't even look at this is horrible, as I come around. And I love helping students to work through these things. These are all things that come up for us when we're not even just learning something new, but just really any goal that we're working towards in life. And so that's one of the reasons why I love teaching art. And let's see here. We can change our narratives, and that's really why I teach all of these different things or offer these different things. We have the ability to change the way that we respond instead of react by being more kind to ourselves. And it took me a long journey to get there, and my purpose is to help shorten that for others so that we can learn to process past pains, and so that we can feel more peace, more fulfillment, and more excitement about life, and to become our own biggest cheerleaders. And so that's really and truly why Chloe Greenberg Studio exists. So thank you for letting me share my story, and you're welcome to connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and all those things at Chloe Greenberg Studio. Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you.